Interviews are like treasure hunts. You ask the right questions and you uncover amazing stories. Are you ready to dig in? Hello, and welcome to Podcast Your School, the series where you learn how to make your very own podcast. In this lesson, we're diving into a crucial skill for any podcaster: interviewing for sound. Mastering the art of the interview can make your podcast truly stand out. Ready to become an interview ace? Here's what we'll go over today. First, we'll discuss how to prepare for your interview and why it can be crucial. Then, we'll go over why briefing your guest can make for a much more comfortable conversation. We'll look at how you can manage the conversation while it's happening, making sure it stays on the right path. We'll go over some interview techniques that will turn a good conversation into a great interview. And finally, we'll look at how practicing with your friends can prepare you for the day of the interview. Alright, let's start with preparation. Understanding your guest's background allows you to tailor your questions in a way that feels personal and engaging. For example, if you know they've just completed a big project, ask them to take you through their challenges and what they learned along the way. This not only gives your listeners valuable insights, but also shows your guests that you've put thought into the conversation. Ideally, you could also conduct a pre-interview with your guest. This will help you get a better idea of your guest and their answers before the real interview, and will usually also help them feel more prepared. But also think about your own objective of the interview. What do you want your guests to tell you? Are you looking for a personal story, expert insights, or maybe just a fun, casual chat? Deciding this in advance helps you steer the conversation in the right direction. Also, try preparing a structure for the interview. Typically, you'll start with an opening question to warm things up. This question should be open-ended and easy to answer, helping your guest feel at ease. Then, you move into the supplementary questions. These are where the meat of your interview lies. It's here that you dig deeper, explore different angles, and uncover the most interesting parts of the conversation. Finally, you wrap things up with a closing question, giving your guest a chance to leave a lasting impression. So have a couple of questions prepared. They could be your most important questions or backup questions that you could ask if you're not sure how to follow up. One more thing, consider the comfort of your guest. Are they comfortable in the environment you've chosen? Sometimes a small adjustment, like offering them a comfortable chair or a glass of water, can make them feel much more open and relaxed during the interview. This brings us to our next topic: briefing and debriefing. Before you hit that record button, it's important to brief your guest. Make sure they know the circumstances of the interview, what the topic is, how long it will take, and what you're hoping to get out of it. This helps them feel more comfortable and prepared. And after the interview, don't just pack up and leave. Take a few minutes to debrief with your guest. Ask them how they felt about the conversation and if there's anything they wish they have said or left out. This not only shows respect, but also gives you a chance to clear up any potential misunderstandings before you edit. Alright, it's time to press record. Maybe you want to give a short introduction of your guest, or maybe your interview style is to start with a key question right away. And when the interview is running, keep the discussion on track by gently steering your guest back if they stray too far away from the topic. For example, if your guest starts talking about their breakfast instead of their favorite video game, you might say something like, "That's interesting. Speaking of video games, what inspired you to start playing it?" And if your time is limited and your guest is taking way too long with their answer, it's okay to politely jump in and redirect. Something like, "That's a great story. Let's also talk about..." That works well. And lastly, watch for signs of discomfort or fatigue and adjust if needed. If they seem tired, wrap up with an energizing question like, What's one thing you're most excited about right now? Managing the pace and flow keeps the energy up and the conversation engaging. Now, on to an essential interview technique. Let's talk about some interview techniques that will take your podcast content from good to great. First, always ask open questions. These are questions that can't just be answered with a yes or a no. Open questions are your best friend because they invite the guest to elaborate, share details, and provide insights that a simple yes or no answer would never reveal. For instance, instead of asking, "Did you enjoy that experience?" you could ask, "What was that experience like for you?" This encourages your guests to open up and provides your audience with a richer, more engaging answer. A great tool for remembering this is using the 5 W's. The 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, are essential questions that provide a full understanding of a story or an event. They help in gathering complete information, making sure nothing important is overlooked. But even though a question is open, it needs to be focused. A focused open question helps the guest reflect on their own experience and creates a clear path for their response. For example, instead of asking an artist, "What's art?" you could ask, "What inspires your drawings?" This way, you guide the guest to actively consider their thought process, which can lead to more informative and thoughtful answers. Another aspect of great interview technique is actively listening and considering your body language. Instead of staring down at your notes, keep eye contact with your guest and listen to their answers. This helps you pick up on cues for follow-up questions. And instead of saying yes or try only nodding to show you're engaged. It keeps the focus on your guest's voice and prevents interruptions in the audio. And don't be afraid of breaks in the conversation. Sometimes those moments of silence can encourage the guest to fill in the gap, and what they say after a pause can be pure gold. Alright, now on to our last topic. Great interviews don't happen overnight. They take practice. Start by interviewing your friends or family to build up your confidence. Practice asking focused, open questions like, "What's been the best part of your day so far?" And listen carefully to their responses. And record your practice sessions and play them back. Listen for areas to improve, like reducing filler words or asking clearer questions. It might feel awkward at first, but it's the fastest way to get better. Finally, role-play unexpected situations. What if your guest only gives one-word answers? How would you keep the conversation going? Practicing these scenarios will prepare you for the real thing and improve the end result. Alright, let's wrap up with these final takeaways for interviewing. First, make sure you're prepared. Having a clear idea of what you want from the conversation and a couple of questions prepared will make you suited for a great interview. Secondly, brief your guest before to make them feel more comfortable about the interview. But remember that this is your interview. Manage the conversation and steer it back in your desired direction if the conversation goes off topic. Make use of interview techniques like asking open and focused questions and actively listening to your guest. And finally, like most other skills, practice makes perfect. Try practicing by interviewing a friend or someone from your family. Not only will you strengthen your interview skills, but maybe also learn a new thing or two about them. Alright, that's all for today. Soon you'll be ready to take on your next interview like a pro. Keep asking great questions, and then I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!